Hey guys, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to set up a development environment for Windows. So these are the tools that we're going to be installing. So we're going to install Git via the GitBash tool. We're going to install a HyperTerminal, which is a lot better than the existing Windows command prompt. We'll be installing NodeJs, the latest version, along with npm package manager. I'll also install Python, and then we'll be using VS Code for our development. So let's go. So in order to install GitBash, let's head over to a new Google tab and let's search for GitBash Windows. And then click on this link, just click on the downloads and click on Windows. And download for Windows, you want to click here to download the latest 64-bit version for Windows. So we'll click that. Right, so once the download is complete, you want to double click that and select yes over here. And then we will go next. Default location should be okay. Next. Next. Leave everything as default. We'll create a shortcut. You can create a shortcut if you like. We'll just say next. And then here you have some options for using the default editor inside of Git. So Vim is the most popular one. There are others as well, but I am going to select Nano because I like that a lot better than Vim. So we'll click next. So in this part, you can either let Git decide the name of the main branch, which is currently set to master, or you can override the default branch name for new repositories to main, or whatever name you want to give your branches. So I'm going to stick with main. So I'm just going to select that. And this setting does not affect existing repositories. Next. We're going to leave that option selected. Click next. So the SSH executable, use bundled SSH, should be fine. So for this one, we'll use the native Windows Secure Channel library. Click next. That's fine. Next. And here we have the option to configure the terminal, which we can use. Minty is quite good as well. It's a lot better than the Windows default console window. So I'm going to leave it as Minty and then press next. So for the default behavior of git pull, we could leave this to fast forward or merge. Click next. For the credential helper, we'll leave it as the default. Click next. Enable file system caching and install. So we'll let that install. And once that's done, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so once Git has been installed, we can just finish the process over here. Okay, let's install the HyperTerminal next. So we'll just open a new tab again and search for HyperTerminal. So the link should be hyper.is, and we can just hit download, save that. Same thing, once the download is complete, just hit that, open that up, and choose an install location, whichever location you want, and hit install. So this should be very straightforward. And finish. Okay, so inside Hyper, I want to change a couple of things first. So we're going to click these 3 lines up top here, and I'm going to go to Edit, preferences. First thing, I'm going to change the font size to be a little bit bigger because it's a bit too small for me, and so that you guys can see things better as well. The other thing is scroll down to the bottom where it says shell. So currently what's happening is, as you can see, it's using the Windows system command prompt shell. So what we want to do is we want to change this to use the GitBash that we downloaded in the previous step. So here you want to enter the location of GitBash exe file. So in my case, my file path is this. So C drive program files git bin bash.exe. So what you want to do is you want to find this file and then replace this shell part over here with that. So we'll save the file and then close this, and then we want to restart our Hyper. So just gonna quit this and reopen it. Yeah, so after reopening Hyper, we can see that it's using our GitBash profile now instead of the Windows profile. So now you can run your Linux commands as normal, and yeah, it's much better than the Windows stuff. Okay, before we move on to installing Node.js, Python, and VS Code, I want to install something else, which is a package manager for Windows. So it's similar to apt for Linux and Homebrew for Mac. So it's called Chocolatey. So I want you to go to chocolatey.org/install. Scroll down to the section where it says install Chocolatey for individual use. So you will see a command over here. We want to copy this command, but we can only run this in the PowerShell with administrative access. So this will not work in GitBash or Hyper that we installed. So what we can do is head over to the search bar, search for Windows PowerShell, right click on that, run it as administrator. Yes. And after the PowerShell opens, we will paste the command we copied from the Chocolatey website earlier, and then hit enter. So this is going to install Chocolatey onto our system. And once it's complete, we can verify that by testing the choco command. And if you get the version and this message here, then that means Chocolatey has been installed successfully. Okay, now that Chocolatey is installed and is running inside our PowerShell, we can move on to the next step of installing Node.js. So we have a couple of options to install Node.js. So one of the ways is that we can go to Google and install Node.js directly from the website using an installer. So we can download the Node.js LTS version. The other way, which is a better way, is to use a Node version manager. So that's basically going to allow us to install different versions of Node and NPM, and then we will be able to change the versions on the fly if and when we're required to do that, or also to upgrade to future latest versions of Node. So in order to install the Node version manager, we are going to use Chocolatey inside our PowerShell. And we are going to install NVM, which stands for Node Version Manager. So in order to install that, we're going to do choco install nvm and with the Y flag for yes for everything. So that's going to install nvm onto our machine. Right. So after installing nvm, you're going to probably have to restart your PowerShell. And once you've restarted your PowerShell, we can actually use nvm to install the latest node version. So if we just type nvm and press enter, we can see the latest version 1.2.2. And then in order to install the latest node version now, let me do cls to clear the PowerShell, and then we will do nvm install latest. So now that is downloading the Node.js version 23.9, and it's going to install it for us as well. In order to start using this version, we can say nvm use latest. So now we see now using Node 23.9. If we also wanted to install an older version of Node for whatever reason, then we can use nvm to do that. So we could just type something like nvm install version 20.12.0, for example, and then it's going to download that version, and then it's going to install that as well. And if we do nvm ls, then we can see our two versions installed and the one that's currently being used. So that's it for Node. We are ready and good to go. Okay, so we're almost there. So next, let's install Python in the same way using PowerShell. So we head back to our terminal and let's clear the screen by CLS. And then we do choco install Python -y. Okay, so once that's installed, we can check the Python version. So we can do Python -version. And it wasn't found, so let's restart our terminal, run it as admin, and then let's check for Python -version. So now we can see that we are on Python 3.13.1, and then we can also check our pip version. There we go. So that's it, Python done. Okay, lastly, we are going to install VS Code. I actually have that already installed on this machine from before. So but the process is the same. So you head over to PowerShell and basically you just use the command choco install VS Code -y. So that should do it for you as well. And once everything is done, then we don't need PowerShell anymore for now. So we can exit out of there. And for us, VS Code, everything is done. Our setup is complete. Right, so now that we've installed everything, let's go ahead and verify all these things that we've installed. So let's open our HyperTerminal first. And from our main directory, which is our root home directory, we can actually check the node version that we installed. So we could do node-v. We could also check our npm version. So these are installed correctly. Let's check our Python versions and our pip version. So yeah, all of these are installed, and we can check them from our HyperTerminal. Next, let's make a demo project, like a small project, and check that out in VS Code. So we are in our home directory, and what we will do, let's create a new folder in here. Let's make a new folder called code. So we'll put some code in here just to give it some tests. And inside our code folder, let's make another folder called Node. We'll navigate in there, and we want to open this inside our VS Code. So if we type code dot within there, then it will open a VS Code editor for us in that particular directory. And welcome. So we're just going to create quickly a new file called index.js and just do a quick console log of hey there. And we actually now want to run this file in our terminal. So while over here, if we see we just created this new file index.js inside our new node folder. So if we want to run this, we can type node space index. And if you press tab while you are typing, you can autocomplete whatever file you're trying to type. So if we do that, we can see that the node script is working. The node engine is working. It takes this file, reads its contents line by line, and basically prints out hey there into our console, which we just saw. We can also run this within VS Code. So if we go to View, Terminal, and if we look down here, we can see we are on PowerShell right now. So if we want to switch this, we can move over to the right-hand side, click the down arrow, and select GitBash. So now we have basically switched over to our GitBash, which is exactly the same as our HyperTerminal. But we can run commands in here as well, the same way. So if we do node index.js, so now we're running this same file again, press enter, we get our console.log here as well. So I think that covers this part of the video. Our Windows developer setup is done. It's quite basic, but we have all the things that we need to start working and developing on our Windows machines. So we've got our GitBash, we've got our HyperTerminal, which is a nice terminal to work with as compared to the Windows command prompt or the PowerShell. And then we have NodeJs installed, so we can start writing Node applications. We have Python installed, and we also have our code editor installed. In the future videos, we might do a Docker installation and things like that, but that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any feedback or any questions or comments, then please let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.